2 years ago, I was completely broke. I was working a dead-end job at a grocery store, door dashing on the side, completely lost in life, where with absolutely no direction with where I was going to be in 5 years. Fast forward 2 years from that point on. Last month I made $102,000 in profit with my online coaching business, and I'm obviously not in that situation anymore. Now, this entire video, there's a lot of things that people don't know about me. There's maybe some things that you do know about me, but I want to take you through the entire story of how I've gotten to this point, all the things I've been through, just so hopefully you can take a piece of this video or a piece of me, and maybe it can relate to you to a point where, hey, maybe you can also get to this point if we've been through similar things in the past. So let's just start with I wanted this entire video to talk about the day I was born until now. So I want to talk about my childhood, maybe things that have happened in the past that have honestly shaped me to who I am today. Because I always think with business, it's never just about the information that's in front of you, but it's who you are when the information is laid out in front of you that determine the results that you get, right? And again, the same thing with like me. There's people that know the same exact things that I do. There's people that, like my clients, that also know the same exact things that they do. Right? Everyone gets thrown the same information, but it's who do you become using the information, right? Who are you to actually, use what's laid out in front of you to actually determine your own success, right? So starting from the day I was born, obviously I'm Asian. Both my parents moved here from Korea to give me and my little brother a shot at, the American dream. And that American dream is obviously, freedom of speech, what's it called? Like the financial dream, it might not be entrepreneurship, but they wanted me to be a doctor and a lawyer, which is pretty, you probably could have guessed that just because I'm Asian. But growing up, I was a very, very shy kid. A beautiful, amazing mother, great, handsome father. Both parents were very, very good parents. I had very, very good parents. I didn't grow up poor. I didn't grow up middle, rich. We grew up very middle class. Sorry, I'm trying to remember all these thoughts. Because this is a one-take video. I'm not redoing it or cutting anything up. So basically, growing up, I was a very shy kid. My mom had to work 3 jobs to support me and my little brother. My dad also had to work his ass off. There was a little phase where he was absent at times, but still a great father. He's in my life right now as well. So, great parents overall. My mom, though, had to, again, this is the main thing, is I remember growing up seeing her work 3 jobs. None of my parents were ever really home. I had to basically grow up with my little brother at home by almost ourselves, and we didn't really have that figure to guide us or lead us to what makes a man almost, and I kind of had to figure it out as I grew up on my own. But growing up, parents were kind of working their ass off, but they weren't really there to parent, if that makes sense. But growing up, I just remember being home with my little brother all the time. My only sources of entertainment, I loved watching movies. Every single day I would watch a movie. It's my habit, and even to this day, I try to do it as much as I can, but I'll try to watch a movie every single night, or every other night at least. It's try to give my sense of childhood back, because I have the freedom and luxury to do so. But I would just watch movies with my little brother, and me, I never turn off a movie. If I have a movie on, I'll always watch it till it's over, no matter how good or how bad it is, because I'm always there for the plot. And the second thing is Minecraft. I genuinely loved Minecraft. I love everything about playing the Hunger Games in Minecraft. I love Star Wars. I love Pokemon. I loved all the things that kids could love, that weird kids could love, because I was a weird kid. Even now I'm a weird person. Don't get me wrong, I might look like I'm this cool whatever, but trust me, I'm a weird ass person. I just don't think because money in itself, money will always change someone or show someone's true colors. So I think if you make a lot of money and you can still retain to who you've always been, it's a good sign that you're a good person, right? But yeah, I remember just going to school, with my little brother, and this is one of the memories that just kind of came up in my head. It was always obviously my mom was working 3 jobs and my dad worked his ass off as well, but I remember seeing my mom and my dad, either one of them would take me to school in the mornings, but since they were working 3 jobs and never actually getting any sleep, the fact that they would take me to school and they would have like these red lights at traffic stops or traffic lights, and like during those red lights they would sleep. Right? They would sleep at the red lights and like tap on me like, hey, like, wake me up when it turns green. And it's me now realizing what that actually meant, but back then, like, I'm just like, okay, but now it's like thinking about it's like that's how tired they were. Like it's like immigrants coming in usually don't get that great of a shot, and understanding it now, right? Because as a kid you don't really understand much until you get older, but watching them, literally thinking about it now, it's like I can't even imagine like being like that tired. Like that is like, because sure I work hard on my business, and I grind on my business, don't get me wrong, but that amount of like physical labor to the point where like you get like 3 hours of sleep every night, and like, you gotta show up, you gotta take care of kids, like it's like that's a different type of love, and it's like that's how, like my parents obviously have the choice of maybe not taking as good care of me, or like not getting the things I wanted as a kid, or no Christmas gifts, or like not having great foods or whatever it might be. But the fact that they were able to just do everything in their power to just like give me the roof over my head and the support, and like being the best parents that they could be. Because keep in mind, every parent out there, it's their first time being a parent, so it's like as a kid, as a young guy, like it's always understanding like they could say this or that, but it's their first time as well, and for me it's my first time being a 23-year-old. I'm living life and I'm learning as I go as well, and I'm not perfect. My parents are never perfect. I'm sure nobody on this planet is just born perfect. But growing up, I was a very shy kid throughout elementary school and middle school, and the only thing that I've ever wanted was just to be like seen, right? And I remember that was like the main thing. I would see like all these movies of like like popular kids in like high school, and this is why like getting into high school, the one thing that I wanted was just like the popularity in high school, just like being known or being seen. So basically, I always had good grades in elementary school, middle school. Like I was always smart in math specifically. Like I would excel really fast. Now it's not even like a race thing. I'm genuinely just like good at math. But in high school, my entire focus was just being seen. So I dropped all of my academics. I like just stopped caring about everything. Something in high school just switched where I'll keep this in mind. Everything that I've always wanted in life, I've always gotten. Like whether that's being popular, whether it's like getting the things that I've wanted, I've always gotten it. And I feel like it's always something that I've had was just like, sure you can say I'm lucky, but everything that I've had, you can get lucky, but you can always just force your luck. And I say this all the time because you can be dealt any cards in life, but the fact is, no matter what goal that is you have, if you want a certain outcome, like you want to achieve a certain goal, no matter what, the harsh reality is you have to play with the cards you're dealt with no matter what, right? So, this is getting really bright, but yeah, basically like my entire high school life, I just talked to people that I knew were friends with popular people. Eventually like worked my way and weaved my through in, and tried to just like have this image of like Josh Chang and popular kid, right? And I picked up, I think this is where a lot of my discipline comes from, but I started wrestling in high school, and I was pretty decent pretty fast. Like I wasn't like anything crazy, but I was not terrible, and I picked it up really fast, and I got bumped up, and like I think I picked up the skill pretty great. If you wanted to wrestle me today, I'd probably whoop some booty, but it's so bright, but oh my goodness, so bright. But basically yeah, obviously me being in high school, all I cared was about like being popular. I drank, I went to parties, I did all the bad things you can think of in high school, and it just basically wasted that entire chunk of my life. I wouldn't say away, but it taught me a lot of things. Now these lessons I wouldn't even say I learned right away. These lessons had to have been taught to me over time, but now we get into like the real start of like the entrepreneur, like where it all changed, because obviously I went from broke to last month making $102,000. So let's get into the juicy stuff here. So basically after college, for me it was like the year of the, how do I say it without getting like shadowing on YouTube? It's like the 2020, right? It was that year. So during that year, I went to community college. They were just like this random college in Maryland. That's where I'm from, by the way. Dang, I gotta fix my language. But basically, college during that year, because high school was kind of cut short, the senior year at least, I lost like everything. Like all I knew, keep in mind, all I knew at the time was just being popular, like having all these things. So once high school was over, for me it was like, oh my gosh, like did I just peak in high school kind of moment. And it was like this like thought of like just being so lost. Like all I would do would play Warzone video games all day long, and my sleep schedule was so messed up. It was like I would stay up until like I would start playing at like 12 p.m. and literally just like play until like 10 a.m. the next day. Like I'm telling you, it was really bad with video games. Like I was really addicted to video games, and I just had like this drive. Like I just wanted to be the best. I tried to go pro in Call of Duty, you know, try to be a streamer as well. Like I've tried everything to get to the, you know, the point that I'm at now. And to be honest, like I didn't have a drive, like my drive in video games, but like me as a person, as a man, like I genuinely had no sense of real purpose. You know, I would DoorDash on the side to like make a couple $100, you know, in a month, and all that money would just go to like Chipotle, right? And there was this one winter where I started going to the gym. I was like kind of overweight because of like all this junk food that I was just eating, and I was just really overweight. And it was because like this one girl that I was just talking to at the time, this is not my ex, this is just the one girl I was talking to at the time, like ghosted me. And I remember at the time I was like so sick. I was like, oh my, like there's no way. And that was like my first drive to start going to the gym. So I started going to the gym, took it pretty seriously, got in decent shape, like had some newbie gains. And I think that was like the spark of like, I think every man goes through some sort of pain or some sort of deep enough pain in their life where it causes some sort of change, because nobody wants to change their life if you don't go through any actual like pain, because otherwise your life is just comfortable. So like pain triggers change, right? And uncomfort causes growth. So I think that was the first time where like I felt pain, right? Not uncomfort, but pain. And it wasn't until I got in shape and I built up a little bit more confidence to like, you know, get like one of my actual first girlfriend. And that caused uncomfort, because affording dinners, you know, I knew like I had to get dinners for her, I had to pay for the bills, you know, get her gifts and all these things. I didn't have the money for that. So this is where the first time feeling of like real true uncomfort came in, where I was like, oh my gosh, like how can I be like a man or like a boyfriend, right, and not afford anything? So I did what everyone else would do, is I got a job. Like I genuinely got a job at this grocery store, and I worked at this grocery store for like a year and a half. But I got this job, and I started like working there every single day, you know, getting my first paycheck. It was the best feeling ever. It was like $600. Like that, oh my, that first paycheck, I was like, this is the most money I've ever seen at once. And I was like, $600, you know? But it was like, that $600 like motivated me so hard, because it was my first taste of like actual money, which was $600 at the time, keep in mind. But I just loved the fact that I got to work and get something out of it, right? So I would just work, you know, life went on. Relationship was great for a while. Obviously it took a turn, and like while this was like all happening, I would say working my job, I worked there for a year and a half. While this period happened, obviously like I love getting the paychecks, but then I was like, okay, this is my TikTok is like a newer thing, but it's like taking off, and I see people with like these crazy lives and, you know, all these things going on. I'm like, dang, like how do I get there? I bought the Real World for $50. That was my first like course that I ever bought. I tried copywriting. I eventually started an e-com brand, drop shipping. I eventually tried having a clothing brand. This is what I say, like I've done everything. Like I've literally tried, I've done trading as well. Like I've done it all, and none of it worked out. So it was always like frustrating. I always do think though, if I did that now, all those things, I'd probably do really well, just because I'm a different person. I understand how businesses work. I understand what it's like to be a business owner. I know the mindset that it takes to actually see success, because it's not, I don't ever blame any courses that I bought or anything like that. It was always my fault, you know, because I was just like a young guy who just wanted easy money, easy things, and I would never want to put real work in. Like you asked me, like if past me saw the amount of effort and work I put in now, genuinely would be so terrified. Like that past me would be so terrified that I can put this much work and dedication into something, especially like deep work. Like, oh my gosh, like the me from like 2 years ago, like talk about deep work where you put on headphones and you just got an energy drink and you're just typing away. Like, no, there's no way that me back then even understood that concept whatsoever. I would like, yeah, but basically I would try all these things because I knew I wanted to like get out of the 9 to 5, because the 9 to 5 wasn't going to actually get me to where I wanted to be, right? And this feeling of like not being good enough for like my ex at the time, not being good enough for like my parents. My parents wanted me to go to college, and I remember like this was like the most confused I've been in life. Like I was like, how do I get out of this? Like I feel like I'm in this cycle. Like all the dollars that I make go into like this new business venture, and I keep running out of money, and I'm like making more from a paycheck, and I still got this girlfriend to pay for. It's all these things, and it wasn't until we actually broke up. So as soon as we broke up, because my ex's mom was my boss at that job actually, it was like way too awkward to work there anymore. So I quit, and I started my social media, posted my physique, and I legitimately just started like blowing up. Like I had one video on TikTok hit like 3 million views, and that for me was like my first sign of like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna make it. Now keep in mind, I didn't make money as an influencer. No one ever really does, but for me that was all I needed to like give full belief in myself that I can make something work of this. So I posted on social media, and I told like my mom, dad, like I'm quitting my job. Like they're like, where's the income coming in? I was like, I don't know. I was like, how are you gonna survive? I pulled out my 401 or my Roth IRA or 401k at the time to like have a little bit on the back end, a little bit more saved up. And I would help my parents out at work, every now and then, to help them, my mom at their bouquet shop and my dad at his souvenir store. I would just go in there, make a couple $100 each time, just like support myself a little bit. I had car bills to pay. But like this time of quitting, like keep in mind I had no income coming in because I was trying to be an influencer for like 6 months until I realized influencers don't actually make money. And I was just basically like that bum that you imagine that lives in their parents' basement, like saying they got dreams and goals and then not actually actively pursuing them. Like I wouldn't say I was super lazy back then at this stage of my life, but during the time at Aldi, when I was working at that job, like I was really hardworking at my job, but in terms of like doing things for myself, I was super lazy. Like I would work so hard for a boss, but for myself, I would put in like 20% of effort that I could be. But I remember I was doing social media for a little bit, 6 months. I was like, damn, like, this shit is not working. Like, how do influencers make money? I'm making like $50 a month off of like codes, like barely. And I'm just like, there's no way like I have this good of a physique and I'm posting and I'm not picking up traction like I should be. Like on Instagram, it's always been like literally like this. Like literally, I'm telling you, it's such a slow grind. A lot of people blow up and things like that, but mine was always a slow grind. And it was when was it? It was I met one of my buddies, Cruz, through social media. He had like 100k followers at the time, and I had like 700 followers. But we just connected and bonded really nice because of my other buddy as well. Like I was connected with Cruz through a buddy. And when I met Cruz, like I thought he had it all. Like he had 100,000 followers. I was like, bro, you gotta be making money, right? Like you gotta be like basically like free, right, financially. And he's just like talking to me about how like influence isn't how you think it is, and it's like, no, like 100,000 followers. Like I make like 2,000 a month. I'm like, well, damn, like 2,000 a month with 100,000 followers. Like, how long is it gonna take for me to get to 100,000 followers to actually make that kind of money? Because that would again give me so much more security, just 2,000 a month. So I'm like, okay, thinking, okay, I'm gonna try this influencing thing out for a little bit. We were both still trying to make it out. Both of us didn't really know what like coaching really was back then. But like, keep in mind, we went to like this one event in Houston, Texas called Alpha Land. If anyone, or Summer Shredding, that's the event name. But the gym is Alpha Land in Houston, and we went there. And there I met like a whole lot of influencers. Then I realized there and then, like right there and then, is like how broke all these influencers really are. And they all had more followers than me. And I was just genuinely like, okay, well, I know this shit's not gonna work. Like, it's not gonna be influencing that's gonna get me to where I wanna be, right? So I'm just thinking like all these avenues. Then Cruz also mentions that he's doing like coaching and he's selling like $30 coaching plans, I'm like, okay, this could be like more suitable. Like I know I can like do this coaching thing. So I put out like my first ever CTA on social media, which is like DM me fit, for like one-on-one fitness coaching. And I was charging $15, for it. And I would make like literally, I made like $30 maybe, like 40, like $60 total maybe. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is it. Like I found like That was the most amount of money I made in a short amount of time. I had like people DM me for it, and it was like 15 bucks. People were singing yes, yes, yes. I'm like, of course, it's 15 bucks. How can you say no? You know. But then I was like, the effort for giving them whatever they paid for like 15 bucks, like it was like way too much, and people weren't trying as hard. And I was like, okay, how do I make this actually happen? You know, like, am I just like, I felt so stuck because I was just like this whole like thing of like online money, like online coaching didn't feel like online money at the time for me because it was so like not what I thought online money was at the time, if that makes sense. I think everyone has a misconception about online money before they actually get into it, like for real. And I think at the time it was Cruz invested into a mentor for the first time and made a $1,000 sale. And for me, that was like my first like spark of, like he just made $1,000. This might be like something cool. Because imagine if like I made $1,000 like right there and then, I would have felt like ecstatic. So basically, a couple months go by. Oh, I have a new girlfriend at this point. But a couple months go by and I'm like still doing coaching, like charging like $100, $200 for my thing, and Cruz is out here, you know, charging, you know, $1,000, and I'm just getting super comfortable with this like ex that I have, right? And it's like, oh my goodness, like I just like slowly see like I remember I went to Cruz's house one time and I literally remember him building his VSL, and like I looked at that and I was like, yeah, that's way too much work for me. Like I remember looking at that computer and like seeing how many slides he had, and I was like, it looks so complicated. And now thinking about it now, and I tell my clients to create a VSL, they might be feeling the same things. But like, I remember looking at a VSL and thinking that was way too hard to actually set up. Like a VSL, just like a couple slides with images and text. And he literally would tell me like, just copy my things, like I don't care. And it was too much work for me, which is, I think why, like part of it is like, okay, I didn't deserve it at the time. And I remember I was just hanging out at my ex's house. You know, this was like February or something like that, where Cruz hit his first 10K month, and I was just like, oh wow, like I remember he showed me, we were on FaceTime, I was with my ex, and he was like, bro, I just made 10K this month. And I looked at that and I was like, bro, fuck, like I'm so behind. Like I just like, if I stayed up with Cruz and if I like grinded, like I would have been there as well. And I remember at the time I needed the money to like support me and my new ex, because I was just grifted at that back then. Like basically like penny pinching. And this thought of like him making 10,000 and me just like sitting there like with like $1,000 in my bank account, I'd be like, fuck, I really do have to like really lock in. So I got back home. I remember we lived like a couple states apart, me and my ex. I drove back home, and I remember that, like that day I was just like, I just started trying a lot harder. I invited Cruz over as well. He came over, and this was like the start where he came over. He told me exactly what he was doing. It was just like a quick, simple DM script and like a quick call script. Back then I probably burned so many leads because I would just like, send 3 messages and book them in on a call, and like speed to lead, no Calendly, anything like that. But I remember like I just like finally felt like my work was starting to pay off, because I made my first like $500 sale, and I was just like, and the sales just eventually started coming in, and eventually I got a mentor. But I remember like that first taste of like that first $500 sale for me was like so much, just because, you know, I gotten $600 paychecks before, but that $500 sale, knowing that I did it, and nobody, oh my gosh, this brightness. I made that for, oh my goodness. Remember, this video is gonna be no cut, so this is one take. I gotta wait for this brightness to go down. Let me filler like this video real quick. So basically, that $500 sale, like again, changed everything for me. And I think the fact that, you know, I was able to basically like every hard thing that's happened in my life, I feel like, okay, this sun is like insane. Oh my goodness. How do I, this sun is insane. Oh my goodness. Okay, basically, if you're still watching this video, hopefully you are, right? Every single hard, I'm gonna move inside. This is way too crazy. Okay, let me do this here. All right, so basically, right, let's just do it like this. All right, so basically, right, every single hard thing that's ever happened in my life is having the true like understanding and belief that it was let me see. This is really bothering me. Every single thing that's happened in my life was genuinely meant to happen and fall into the place where, like, it did. Like, without everything happening, I wouldn't be in this situation where I'm, making $100,000 per month with my online coaching business. Like, you told me that back then, it's like, what the heck, there's no way that's possible. And everything, all the breakups, all the hardships, all the, doubts I've had, all the feelings of being lost, parents, sacrificing what they did to get me to this point. Like, oh my gosh, I forgot to mention, there was one Thanksgiving where I remember my mom was telling me at Thanksgiving, this was like right when I started seeing success with online coaching, because this is around like November or something. Thanksgiving, November. She told me, I remember at the Thanksgiving table, she said, like, if it doesn't work out in the next year, you have to go back to college. And for me, I was like, it's been so long. It's been like 2 years since I dropped out. And I was like, at this point, I was like, you got it, So we made the deal. Like, if I don't make it happen, I do have to go back to college. And I think that's one of the factors that also probably drove me so hard. But I remember it was like May of 2024. Yeah, May of 2024 is when I hit my first $10,000 a month with online coaching after I got a mentor. And I remember that $10,000, I showed my mom, and she was like she was actually like in shock that I actually made that much in a month, like $10,000. And I remember like showing my dad, he was like, nice, but he was like, obviously you need to do more. But finally that first $10,000 was like the first break that I had. The first break that I had to actually like show, one, to my parents, and show myself that like I can actually do this thing, And even like my first like $1,000 sale felt like that, First $500 sale gave me that belief as well. But eventually I got my first $10,000 a month, and that after that $10,000 a month, I got comfortable again, which was bad. This is a bad trait, but I got comfortable after hitting that $10,000 a month with the ex at the time. Drop back down, all these things. Oh, this story is about to be long and good though. This is where it gets like really good. This is what really shaped me. So like I would go, okay, so $10,000 a month happened in May 2024. Then I dropped back down like $3,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $6,000, $7,000, back down to like, $2,000. Like I wouldn't really try to make sales because in my mind, like I've made it, like I don't, there's some like part of me that was like lazy still that like would just get comfortable. And it wasn't until like August when I went to visit my ex at the time for her birthday, like in her state, and I bought her like a $7,000 or $8,000 like Louis V bag. At the time, like it just felt so good giving that like to her, because that's a lot of money. Like that financially I was not smart, but I got her that bag, and it was like, oh, like okay, like she came up with me when I had like nothing. And the fact was, we actually like broke up like 1 or 2 months after that, which was like what I'll get to. But keep in mind, I was a good person. Like I never went out to like drink, during my business phases. Like I never went to like go out and like throw my life away almost. Like I was very dedicated to like making my business work for me. And I would literally, I remember I had this one trip right after I got back from the state, from her birthday. I went to Miami to visit Cruz because he moved to Miami, got his own apartment. So I went to Miami, and I would go there just to work. And I'm telling you, like, just grind. I went there, I saw like Lamborghinis for the first time in my life. I saw Ferraris. This is the first time I'm seeing all of this. McLarens, Porsches, I'm seeing it all. I'm seeing the high rises. I'm seeing the brick old lifestyle. I'm seeing it all. And I'm just like, holy, like this is like the life that I can live, and I was so motivated. So I would just grind. But at the time, I remember my ex, like thought I would just like go out to like, I thought I was going out to like clubs. I legitimately like would not go to any clubs. I wouldn't drink. I wouldn't do anything. I was drinking water every day, all day, just grinding on my stuff. But the fact that like she didn't trust me, like destroyed me. And her like revenge was like going out to like frats and things like that. And like for me, that genuinely hurt so bad, because I remember I was down there in Miami, and like there was one morning where I just like knew something fishy was happening with like, this is my assumption obviously to this day, right? No actual proof, but you like go out and like not respond. I'm like, okay, like this obviously, my assumptions always lead to places, but I remember that next morning, like she called me like, why are you upset? And I'm just like sitting on the back porch, or like the back balcony of Cruises, and I'm just like absolutely bawling my eyes out, but like just pure sadness. Like I'm just saying, like, you know, you don't understand. Like I remember like the message that I was saying to her on the phone was just like, you don't understand like that I'm doing all of this like for us. Like I'm putting in all these hours. I'm not going out, I'm not drinking, I'm not going to clubs. Like I'm doing all of this for our future. And like for her to like look at it almost as not like a, because I don't want to throw like shade on her, but because I think she was supportive. I think she just wasn't the right like fit at the time, business terms, right? But seeing her just like live her like sorority life basically, right? And then me live like my entrepreneur life, and just like didn't butt heads well. But and then she couldn't make sacrifices, and there's some I guess technically that I wouldn't make, which is like giving leniency for certain things. And then basically I literally just like what do I say? I basically like broke down. I broke down, like on that balcony, just not understanding like why she would keep doing this to me if all I'm doing and everything I'm doing is for her and for us, right? And I remember that trip, I was like, yeah, this is like, in my head I was just thinking like, I never had the strength to break up with like anyone, because I hate doing that, but this was like the time where I was like, okay, like I know like this is, I can't, because I saw Miami, I saw what I need to become to get to where I want, and I met people that were doing amazing things down here. So the last day I was in Miami, I called her and I broke up with her. Ended things right there and then, and I gave her the choice. You know, it was an ultimatum. You know, it's like you choose to live your life the way you want, or like you can. This is gonna sound so bad, but like you can choose to be a part of mine, but I need these standards to be met, right? Again, respectfully, our like goals and dreams and like I guess standards didn't really align, so we broke it off, right? And I went home back to Maryland like the next day, obviously, and I was just like so sad. And this is when, if you go to my YouTube channel, or you're on my YouTube right now watching this, but if you scroll down to like that millionaire series, that's when like that literally like that like almost like next day is like when I actually started like that series. You know, that's why I love having those videos there, because you can literally see me fresh at like one of my lowest points of my life. And I remember that it wasn't even like I was so sad, it was just like I was so, it's like lost, but also like having so much clarity on like what I need to do. It was like a mix of the both, if that makes sense. But I was just very lost and very, very clear on my goals though. Like I was very lost in how I was going to get there, but very clear on where I wanted to be, and like almost who I needed to become to get to that point. So got home to Maryland. I think I stayed for about like a week before I rebooked the trip back to Miami. And I went back to Miami, and this time I came back with like a whole new sense of hunger. Like I'm talking like I would go to Cruises again in Miami, and I would literally like the second I wake up, I would be on like my phone, right? And I would just instantly get in the DMs, like instantly be in the DMs. I crossed everything, and my drive was just like insane. And I just wanted it so bad. Like part of it was for revenge. Part of it was also just like to prove myself that I was like right the whole time, you know? Like there's no way I'm gonna break up with someone saying I'm gonna be like this crazy thing and just like not have it happen, just be all talk, right? I couldn't stand just being someone like being seen as like, haha, like, yeah, that's my ex. Like he always said he was gonna be like a millionaire, and like, you know, he can't even, he's, look at him now, right? But now look at me now, you know, it's like a whole different story. So super great. Let me close this door. But basically like these times, again, like this was the hardest point in my life, honestly. And I want you to like almost after this video, like go back and watch when I was, go back and watch like those old videos, like the millionaire series, because that's like fresh after the breakup. So I think those are like, you'll see like one, how different of a person I might have been, but how clear like where I wanted to be. Everything I've said in those videos, like I've made happen. But yeah, I absolutely grinded, made $30,000 that month with my fitness coaching business. And I just remember, I just like pure, just like what was fueling me was just like all the pain. Remember, keep in mind, like pain and uncomfort causes growth, right? So it's all that pain I had, like all the confusion. I remember like I was just so confused on like, how could I, in my head, be like so, this sounds bad again, but like so perfect in the sense of like being supportive with goals and just like being like, I never went out, you know, I never like, I would never cheat on any of my girlfriends ever. I truly believe like if you're with someone, you're with someone. If you want to cheat, break up first, right? But I was just so confused on how like, when was I gonna be done that way, right? But using all like that pain I had, I just grinded and I made $30,000 that month with my coaching business. And right there, I went home. I went to, did I go to Tampa? No, yeah, I went to Tampa for a little bit as well. I went to Tampa and then went back home to Maryland. That month it was Halloween, but I remember I made 30,000. I was super like on top of life because that was the most amount of money I've ever made in a single month. And I remember I was just like with my, like I was with like my friends, I was with like females as well around that time, and I'm just like trying to distract myself, like trying to prove to myself that like this was like my purpose, like I'm good now, right? And this was me like going out a little bit again, like going, you know, trying to distract myself, like talking to girls, like, you know, just doing things that I really should not be like ideally doing. I wasn't like doing anything terrible, but like I shouldn't be distracting myself with girls. Oh my gosh, it's raining. I got my phone out here real quick. I left my phone. But it was like the fact that, oh shoot, oh gosh, hold on guys. It's literally raining and my my Alcantara chair is out here. Gotta bring this back in. But, oh gosh, oh goodness. Hold on guys. But basically, let's put this in here and close it. All right, basically, right, turn this back on. So sorry for this video being so choppy. This is just like this is real authenticity right here. But where was I? Oh yeah, so yeah, I just like was kind of like lost in the sense of like what actually made me happy. That was like the biggest confusing part, I think, for like the past even like 9 months, because I was just chasing the money. And I think this past month or two I've realized like it's never about it was never really about the money that actually brings you joy. And I think I realized this first when I went to Bali, because I saw like these families just sitting at these like shack restaurants where it's like you can tell it's like they're sitting on buckets, but they all seem so happy. Oh yeah, this is what it was like. They all seem so happy, and I was like, okay, it's not about the money, you know. I have to stop chasing the money because it's not about the money actually. Like it's genuinely about like the experiences. So I stopped chasing like the money, and honestly, I think it was the fact that I think maybe this was the mental switch for me, but like it was like I always forgot why I got into it in the first place, which was like for freedom, right? Because most people, you'll probably see it online going around right now, is like most people buy their way and like have way too expensive of a lifestyle where they literally cannot afford it, and like they find like their joy from buying materialistic things. Like don't get me wrong, I love my car. I'm gonna upgrade my car as well. Not like get a new car, but just like change some things out with my car, make it a little bit cooler. I have like the Rolex like right there, you know, and I live in Miami obviously, but like it's not the materialistic things that genuinely make me happy. It's what you do with the money after, right? And it's like giving back to your family, because it's those experience. I can't even say it on YouTube because I can't spoil it, but I'm doing this thing for like my family in a couple months, and I know like this is going to feel better than like me buying my dream car. It's going to feel better than any of that, because it's going to remember those times when I was talking about in the beginning of the video where my mom would work like 3 jobs, and you know my dad, you know, be at red lights and telling me to wake him up, you know, when the lights turned green because he was so tired, you know. And just all the sacrifices that they've made for me, it's like my true way now that I can finally give back almost, right? And I hope that doesn't like spoil it in any way, but I know it'll feel a lot better in a couple months, because I made 102,000 last month, and it doesn't like feel like anything crazy. Like people think maybe you get super ecstatic and all these things, but I genuinely feel like it's just been a long time coming, and I deserve it all just because I've put in X inputs and I've been through everything I've been through to get me to this point. Like I'm not one to complain about things. I don't blame other people for anything. I just take self accountability and, you know, make things in my life happen the way it does. I hope I didn't really miss anything in my story, but hopefully that makes sense. I know this was a long, like, chaotic video. I'm like walking all over the place. Raining, balcony, started on the balcony, now I'm behind my desk. But hopefully if you watch this video, there's a part of you that can relate to just how I've kind of gotten to this point. I really want you to take with the key facts of like that. I remember that one breakup, like me, like not understanding why someone will betray you almost, right? It's like, that was a big lesson for me, right? Finding what my true happiness is also like one of the big lessons. Another lesson is just like not blaming anyone else besides yourself. Lesson 2 is like, you have to have full belief, because remember my mom said my mom literally said, if I don't make it work in the next year, like I literally have to go back to college. Fast forward, I literally obviously I made my $10,000 a month, made my $30,000, $50,000 a month as well. Now I'm making $102,000 a month. Called her, she's like crying on the phone, like she was just saying like, I'm so proud of you, like I'm happy like for you. And it was her saying like, I don't know what it is, it's the way she's like, she's not even like excited for the fact that I'm making money. She was just like, she was literally saying like, I'm so happy that like your hard work paid off, you know? And I'm just like, and I'm just telling her like, I was on the phone like telling her, just like, this wouldn't be possible if you didn't do like everything you did right when I was a kid. But just be super grateful, you know, every day. Like I have a journal here that I write in, but every day, write down on the left side, I write down everything that's going on in my head and why I'm doing all of this, right? What's my end goal? Don't just write down money in your journal. And like on the right side is like my actual like to-dos, like the actual stuff, like things I have to get done today, or just like, you know, the actual business stuff, like things I'm learning, right? But on the left side, it should be like just writing your goals. Because if you have a clear vision of why you want to do something, and you have like, remember, you're always going to, no matter what, enjoy the process versus like the actual outcome. Like for example, if you want to buy a car, right? I remember for the longest, like my Porsche 911 that I wanted for so long, I grinding for this car, and I got the car, and yes, it felt amazing. But again, like I still have the car now, and it's not that I don't like the car. I love my car, don't get me wrong, you know, but it's like the process of getting to the car, like that grinding journey, like from starting to like now where I am, like this process of grinding, like this is the stuff that I remember, and this is the stuff that like I genuinely think back on. I'm like, bro, I remember like grinding in the basement, grinding with my buddy Cruz in the basement as well. I'm just like thinking about all the hard things that I went through. And this is why I always listen to like country music on the every day. I try to like go in the morning, like listen to country music on my balcony, because like the nostalgia that I feel from like hearing that music and the times, I don't know, it's, call me weird, right? But there's a certain phase in my life where I listen to a lot of country, and this was like it was like a good time at the time. Looking back at it, it was like a sad time, but like now thinking about it as well, it's like nostalgic, if that makes sense. I don't even know if that makes sense, but I always listen to country music on the balcony because of that reason. And it always reminds me to be like super grateful of like where I'm at. So basically that's my story. Hopefully that made a lot of sense. I know this was a hectic video, but if you watched it this far, if you like a video, leave a like. If you like leave a comment, subscribe. If you're someone who wants to start or scale their online coaching business, DM me on IG or book a call below. But yeah, hopefully this video can in some way, shape, or form helped you out. But other than that, I appreciate you guys watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.